Hi, this is Michael Uslan. You're listening to Batman on Film.
I'm vengeance.
I have given a name to my pain.
The Batman.
Always waiting for some Batman to save you.
It's simple. We kill the Bat of Gotham. I'm Batman.
Hey now, welcome to episode number 50. Oh, we're at the half century mark. You've probably done what, 25, 30 of these son of a guns?
I've done a few.
Okay. That would be Ryan Lauer, senior BOF contributor, joining me on this episode. I am the founder of Batman on Film, Bill Ramey.
Hey,
And
Cowboys player, number 50. Who do you got?
Sean Lee.
Look at that. That quick.
Yeah,
I
Sean
don't know
Lee.
Sean Lee. I don't know
Sean Lee played for Penn State, linebacker, was fantastic, but he could not stay healthy. He played for about 10 years with the Cowboys. I mean, he just could not stay healthy, but when he was healthy, he was one of the best, but just could have been a great. Yeah, I was a big Sean Lee fan. So, I was quick on that one, wasn't I?
Yeah, you got it. Quick to the draw today, Bill.
Speaking of quick,
Yeah.
the Batman is quickly approaching, sir. We
Hot
are recording on February 4th, 2022.
4 weeks from this moment,
And
I will be waking
yes.
up in Texas. The night
Batman-
after, the morning after.
The
seeing
Batman is out in 1 month, 28, less than 28, 27 days, some whatever hours and whatnot. So, it's here, you know. Hell, I was watching Moonshiners. You ever watch that show? You familiar
No.
with that show?
I am not.
You know what moonshine is, right?
Yeah, I had some.
Okay.
My last trip to Tennessee.
Okay. Well, okay, there you go. So it's on Discovery. It's about different all these dudes in like North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, who do moonshining, and they, you know, I've been watching it for years. So anyway, I was watching Moonshiners, and 30-second promo for the Batman comes on during Moonshiners on Discovery. And I went, wow. So you know what I did? I kept running it back and played it like 15 times in a row.
They've got some pretty great spots that they're just kind of that they're shoveling out, you know.
This was the
It's a
one
really good
usually
moody.
this is the one I posted it on Batman on Film yesterday. It's the one where he's fear is a tool. You know,
Yeah.
you saying that one,
Yeah.
and they think I hide in the shadows. I am the shadows, you know. So
Yeah, and that one was on Moonshiners. I love it.
yeah.
And then
so
the Riddler one that you posted, I think that one's taking the cake. That is quick, creepy,
yeah.
and that creepy laugh at the end, like it's just 15 seconds, but it hits.
Speaking of creepy, the Michael Giacchino's The Riddler theme dropped a few hours ago. Have you had a chance to listen to it yet?
4 times,
Okay.
5 times.
It was creepy in a very good way.
Yeah.
Is that a good description or no?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's funny because it definitely had parts that made me think Danny Elfman, and then I don't know that you would get this, but
Okay.
parts of it also made me think Hocus Pocus, because of that movie. I grew up with like that whole the people doing the woo sort of stuff at the beginning of it, like that's in Hocus Pocus with
Okay.
movies. It's been with me since 1993, Bill. But
The movie,
strings-
right? Hocus Pocus?
Yes, the movie. Yeah, the movie's awesome. Peter Vera likes to give me a lot of shit for it, but I don't care, Pete. But then there's the strings in this. You know, it's kind of stringy, and that to me sounds very Danny Elfman.
Yeah.
I think this sounded more Danny Elfman than the last one. I know a lot of
Okay.
people got pieces of Danny Elfman with the Batman theme, but no, I think the creepy factor, and just like the last Friday, the Batman theme, it went places I didn't expect. you know, it got kind of big and
Mm-hmm.
bombastic and stuff, but then brought it back down to,
Mm-hmm.
you know, little creepier and smaller and stuff. And yeah, I think it's good, and it's fun to listen to it and really think, like, where's this going to be played? What part of it's going to be played? You know, and all that stuff.
Yeah. That's what when Reeves tweeted out that it was coming on Friday, I texted my son Micah, and I think he's the one that gave me the heads up first. I texted him back and said, I wonder if we've heard any of this before. So I listened today. I don't recall hearing anything in any of the trailers. Maybe I just missed it, but I don't recall. But I really liked the piece of music today. So, and then while I was prepping for this show, I put the Batman theme and the Riddler theme on a loop and was playing it over and over again. So I'm trying to get myself. What the hell am I saying?
You're trying to get pumped up.
I'm
can't
hyped.
get excited for this.
I'm hyped as hell, man. I am hyped as hell. And God, I was thinking, you know, I was looking at that countdown on Batman on Film with 27 days and 12 hours and whatever, and thinking, I think I started this son of a bitch. It was like 600 freaking days or something. It was like some amount to where you feel like I'm never going to get there. And always, you know, I've always said for years when people say I can't wait, and you know, then the Batman got pushed back and all that. Oh my God, and it's never going to get here. Well, it's freaking fixing to be here, and it's going to be gone.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things that you got to enjoy it. While this is, you know, you got to enjoy the whole thing.
So what I really like what they were doing here is, so we're within 4 weeks from today is the release date, and I mean, with marketing, you know, the idea of anything is how do you continue to stay the talk of, you know, relevant, or, you know, how do you keep that going? And I think this whole, who knows if there's going to be more, but doing on Monday announcing, hey, Friday, we're going to drop one of the tracks from the soundtrack. What if this upcoming Monday, they do it with Selena, and they do a Selena mix. And then the next week, maybe Oswald's got one, you know, it's like, here's something we can look forward to. We're not giving stuff away. We're not giving the movie away. And then, as you and I already talked about the TV spots showing up, most of those, 98% of what we're seeing with that is stuff we've seen in the trailers.
Yeah.
But there's the mood, there's the, you know, like fast paced or slow.
They kind of have a theme to each one. I noticed some posting them on Batman on Film, you know. There was like ones that was Selena focused. There was one that was it's been Bruce Wayne focused. There's one that's Batman focused. So
doing
Riddler,
this, it's like they're getting new stuff out, but it's almost just kind of like remixing stuff that we've seen with maybe two really quick shots we haven't seen.
And that's what I said back when they released that third trailer. I was like, I'm good. And so I hope when they do the TV spots, they're just cut with stuff we've already seen, you know?
Yeah.
And you can, like you said, you can mix stuff together a different way and make it look new. And it's the same thing we've seen before. So
it just feels like that's how they're keeping it feeling fresh for this countdown, instead of going radio silent, you know, for 4 more weeks. It's like, no, keep it building. So you're watching Moonshiners and you've got a TV spot, and it's,
look, I'm watching a great job. I'm watching the conference championship games last weekend. And you know, I expected there to be spots for the Batman during it, and there were. But Moonshiners on Discovery, you know, that's cool. I mean, they're really going out, you know. And then it's not my thing, but the Winter Olympics have started, so they're bound to have some spots during the Winter Olympics, and then the Super Bowl's in a week and a few days. So I'm still saying you got to have a spot during the Super Bowl, man.
So definitely. And if they do you think that they create something new? 30 seconds.
I don't think they would have to, because I would still say that the majority of people who would see the spot during the Super Bowl might not have seen any of the trailers yet, you know?
Yeah.
Because they're not like us. We're going to watch it, you know, we're counting down to till it pops up, you know, trailers and whatnot.
So they would do what we just said and kind of remix
Yeah.
footage,
Yeah.
but it will be a new spot.
Sure.
It won't be one
Yeah.
that they've aired before.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I think they'll do.
I think they should too. It's the Super
Yeah.
Bowl. If you're going to invest that much money for a Super Bowl spot, don't grab something you've already done. Do something.
Yeah,
different.
I don't want to say something new is in terms of footage. I think something new that
Correct.
they cut for the Super Bowl. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna take a quick break from Batman Talk. Get right back. I got to talk about weather real quick.
I'm surprised we didn't start here.
I showed you how excited I am for the Batman. So this last weekend it was 70, right? And I'm washing the car and I'm going around in shorts and stuff. So Wednesday it's in the 40s all day and it starts raining. By 8 o'clock, it's just a steady downpour of freezing rain and ice and sleet. That lasts all freaking night. And then about 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, it started snowing. And it snowed until about 3 o'clock yesterday. It's not going to get above freezing here in North Texas, Dallas area, until Saturday afternoon. And with that, it's only going to be like 37, 38. So remember I told you it could be 90 degrees during that watch party, or it could be this. You just never know. Crazy. So I got about 6 inches of ice and snow covering everything around me. So yeah, we've just been holed up at the house and riding
when
around.
you and I are done here, I've got to go shovel out because we just ended our area ended up with 14 inches.
Wow.
From Wednesday, probably around noon.
Yeah.
And it finally let up last night at like 9 or 10.
That's
Just
pretty good.
Yeah, we didn't have the ice problem. So we don't have a surprise underneath it all. Just a bunch of snow.
Think about it, just knowing because announcer Rachel's from Minnesota. I've been in Minnesota many times, and then up in the Midwest and North. Y'all have the infrastructure and the stuff that you need to get through it during the winter, because it happens not just sporadically like here once a year. Here it just shuts everything down. I
know, and I didn't like the people, so say in Texas last year, and then you have some people from Upper Peninsula who could be like, oh my gosh, people are freaking out and it's like, okay, I can understand to an extent, but Texas is, like you just said, the infrastructure, it's like they're not equipped for, like, I don't want to say not equipped, but it's just like this isn't normal for them.
Yes, you're not gonna have it from November to through March. You're gonna have
it's not that they can't handle it. It's like, oh, I don't like snow. It's like, no, we're not, like, this isn't normal for us.
Yes.
So we aren't built for this necessarily. So like you just said, there's no problem around here to go get snow shovels. Or anything like that, because we know in the winter we're gonna get at least one blast like this at some point.
Yep, so I'm with you. So there's my weather talk for the day. Let's get back to the Batman.
I just hope that I know whether to pack shorts or jeans. I don't want to have to pack t-shirts, shorts, Rick shoe, flip flops, as well as tennis shoes, jeans, hoodie, a coat. Like,
I would
it all down
say
to Texas.
early March. Jeans and a light jacket, you're good. Well, I don't think you need to bring a parka, or I have what I call a Jack Pine Savage coat that I actually bought in Minnesota. If you're from Minnesota, Wisconsin area, you know what a Jack Pine Savage is. Ask Garrett Grev, but it's a big thick coat, with a hood and what's like plaid, Paul Bunyan looking thing,
I was just gonna say Paul Bunyan.
Yeah. So I have been wearing that. So, and then this dress is gonna last another week. No more ice and snow, but cold temperatures. So, and like Rachel's off of work. I mean, it just shuts everything down. Okay. All right. That's enough. People don't like this witty.
There's your intermission.
I get people, they don't like witty banter for some reason. Some people, not everybody, few people object to witty banter.
Okay, well, that's part of the social hour.
It is. All right. So speaking of, we were talking about the Batman. I got a hold from, this is from boxofficepro.com. They have a projection for the Batman. Their projection, what it says first, I will say, since we're talking about this kind of sort of with the marketing and whatnot, advanced tracking, social activity, and trailer imprints for the Batman are the strongest of any release, excluding Spider-Man No Way Home, since before the pandemic began. Preliminary metrics align closely with Captain Marvel, which scored the third highest March opening in history with $153.4 million 3 years ago. And then their projection is opening weekend between 135 million to 185 million, and then a domestic box office overall take between 340 million to 540 million. So any particular thoughts about that, Ryan?
Cool.
Okay.
I think they'll probably narrow that down once the tickets go on sale, won't they? So a week from now, they'll probably narrow that 50 million gap down to maybe 20 or something. I find a lot of the predictions for movies pre-pandemic, maybe it's a ballpark for sure, but I don't think anybody who's trying to find a headline story here needs to have any sort of panic. I think I think it looks and sounds, I think, promising. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
I think it was in the mailbag I just did. If someone asked if I was worried because of pandemic and all this stuff, I'm like, look, man, I mean, people are going places. I mean, it's just look at NFL and college football stadiums. They're packed. That's all over the country, you know? So I'm not worried about that. Look what Spider-Man No Way Home did. Batman, I think Batman and Spider-Man are the top two comic book characters amongst the mainstream. They do well. The entire spectrum, fans, general audience, even with reboots. I mean, you've seen Spider-Man has been, we've had 3 incarnations of Spider-Man on film now. We've had several of Batman. And also, 2 other things to keep in mind is that this is solo Batman. This is people's wheelhouse. This is how they like Batman. This is the first one in 10 years. This is a longer gap between Batman and Robin and Batman Begins. So this reboot, solo wise, is a decade since The Dark Knight Rises. And don't underestimate the fact that Robert Pattinson has a huge fan base. I think he may have the biggest fan base of any actor who's played Batman. Ben Affleck was a popular movie star, director guy. But there's not just like this huge Ben Affleck fan base. You know what I mean? And I would be part of it. If there was, it's just different. And let's be honest, with Pattinson, it comes from Twilight.
Well, think of anybody, like you just said, before Batman, which actors led a billion-dollar franchise before Batman? None. I don't know how much the 4 Twilight movies made, but I mean, Pattinson, there were 3 main actors on that, and he was one of them. Some could say he was number 1, maybe he was number 2 on the call sheet, but I mean, you've affiliated him with that, and those movies made bank.
Yeah.
So I think that's the proof of what you just said, of he's got a huge fan base. So,
and it's not like he's going from it's not like this would be a very 90s, late 90s, early 2000s Warner Brothers moved where who's a hot name? Who's a hot name? Oh, Ashton Kutcher. he's a hot name. Let's see about him playing Batman. I mean, I'm being for real here. That was pandered around, bannered, back then.
Nothing against Ashton Kutcher, but
Yeah,
no,
but
didn't see it. But I know
like,
what you mean. I know
like
what you mean.
that. Pattinson, it's been what? I don't even know. Because I never watched the Twilight film, but it's been 10 plus years since he's done a Twilight, right? And then he went and reinvented himself with all his work in between. So it's not like they went. It's gonna be a good segue too. It's not like they said that Pattinson is he's a hot name in Twilight. Let's get him for Batman. No, it's completely different now.
I can't help it. Did you ever see Zoolander?
Yes.
Hansel, he's so hot right now.
Yeah.
That's all I can't help but hear that every time. He's so hot right now.
Yeah. So, speaking of that, another big feature in total film for the Batman. And thanks to you sent me the link and I got it digitally and read it. Thought it was a really good article. A lot of the stuff. It's, nothing new, but some good new stuff, I would say. But it just reiterates the fact that they tell the story again, and I think there's in more depth of how much of a fan Robert Pattinson was of Batman and how much he wanted the role. And at the same time, Matt Reeves is wanting him to play Batman. The two haven't connected yet, and he starts writing. He's writing the script with Pattinson in mind.
Yeah.
So, what was your overall, just your thoughts, highlights from the Total Film article?
Well, I remember in talking to you about this, you'd asked me if it was good, and that's kind of where I was at. Yes, it is. It is good. At that point, I was halfway through, and I was feeling like, oh, we've heard some of this. There is no big headline to grab here of like a big revelation, but it was entertaining. But also, it was interesting and intriguing, going a little bit more in depth on some of those comments. Yeah. And then as it went through, it wasn't a rehash of the Empire article. That's not what I'm saying at all.
No.
Nothing here that's completely like, oh my God, did you read that?
Yeah.
But then it did get into some stuff that was really interesting to me. And I mean, this was a long read too. And I think what I liked maybe more than the Empire article was that it seemed like on every page it had a quick like Q&A.
Yeah, they had a like little breakout articles,
with Sarsgaard, who plays
Gil Coulson
in it. Just 3 questions, very little, I know, but that's different. I mean, and yet again, Colin Farrell, Paul Dano, which I really like how much Paul Dano is not saying. I think in Empire and in this one, they both commented in the sense of like that he is very enthusiastic, excited, was thrilled to be cast in this. But I think, as he even says in this, of just like with the character in the movie, he doesn't want to even share his excitement for this. He wants us all to just see the movie, see the Riddler in the movie. Like, feels like he's really checking himself to not say anything about.
I had someone, and one of the questions in the mailbag was, it was like, "Are you concerned that we haven't seen Paul Dano's face? What's up with that?" And I'm like,
"Oh, I saw that." Yeah.
And I'm like, "That's part of the deal, man. Why would they reveal that? That's something they're saving for the movie. There's it's a mystery. It's an enigma.
I like it.
Mr.
Enigma, Ebrenigma.
It's like there's some kind of nefarious, negative thing at hand that they haven't released anything of that shows Paul Dano's face. And I'm like, but you've seen a bunch of Riddler, man.
So that's actually, segues into a really good first point. So all this, even marketing and stuff that we're seeing, the focus is the Batman. And that was a point that Reeves had even made in this, that he talks about, of didn't want to do origin story, but he does feel after you get the origin story out of the way, then it does become about the villains. And he doesn't want it to become about the villains. He's like, this is about the Batman. I want this to be a personal story about the Batman. And when you go and reflect that a little bit, or look back on that a little bit, I can understand he wasn't shitting on anything that came before, but I do think after 89 Returns, Forever, Batman and Robin, I can kind of remember that it did feel like, who's the villains? Who's the villains? Who's the villains?
You know what? And I go back to the mailbag again. I get this question a lot. Who do you want to see in the next movie? What villain do you want to see? And my question, my answer always is, whatever villain fits the story they want to tell.
And I get that question. I do. It's like, who would you like to see in
No, I get the question.
Universe and stuff. And it's like, well, it'd be fun to see, sure, but as far as like, I play with the hand dealt to me. So Reeves, when it is announced who the villain will be, that's when I'm like, cool, I accept that. Let's see how
it's goes back, as you brought up, with the Burton Schumacher films, and even with the 60s TV series, to be honest. But
yeah,
it's, okay, we're going to have the Riddler or whatever as the villain, and then we're going to write a story around that. That's how it was in those films. Let's get Schwarzenegger and to play Mr. Freeze, and then we'll make a story up around it. Same thing with the Riddler and Two-Face and Batman Forever. I don't want. It's kind of a mindset. Let's don't get in the mindset of we're gonna have the Batman 2. Okay, number 1 on the checklist. Who's going to be the villain? And then maybe 2, 3, 4 down the list. Okay, what's the story going to be about? Story should be first, and then we'll figure out what
always.
Yeah.
That's just all. That's what it all comes back to. It needs to be, the story is the foundation.
Yeah.
Go from there.
Yeah.
So I really liked how he mentioned that. A quote that I love from Pattinson was about how he knows some Batman movies get shit on, but he doesn't think that there's a bad one, because each one accomplished what it set out to accomplish. And I think that that's a good quote. And of course, there's a lot of fun, snarky comments online of people, didn't see Batman and Robin. Oh, you didn't see Batman Returns or something. And I think I fit into that camp because I don't hate like Batman stuff. Batman and Robin to me, I think, is obviously laughable, but I watch it, randomly. I don't hate it. I feel like it's a 90s version of the 60s version.
I've said before, and I said it on the last social hour with Pete. I said, I can make an argument that Batman and Robin of the 4 Schumacher Burton films may be the most comic book accurate of the 4. I can make that argument because it's very 1950s, 60s Batman. Very much. Now, is it my preferred take on Batman? No. Do I love Batman and Robin? No. But I can watch it now. You know what? The Dark Knight trilogy was a great palate cleanser for a lot of things.
Yes. That's funny that you say that, because that's where my mindset always was with Batman and Robin. So I was in 1997, November of 1997, I turned 12.
Yeah.
So at 11, and I first saw that movie.
Oh, you probably thought that was the
fun.
Shit, huh?
I thought it was a lot of fun. And then it was a couple years in rewatching everything before it and stuff, that it did start to sour. And then I never knew if I was going to get another Batman movie. So then that made me hate that movie.
Yeah.
And then, like you just said, Batman Begins came around. You realize Batman and Robin wasn't the end. Now you've got the best. All of a sudden, that one's not so bad. It's like, it's not great, but I can put it in and watch it because whatever. And I feel like that's what kind of happens with me with some Batman stuff that comes out that's not the best. I still don't hate it because I'm like, oh, we've got more goodness coming. So whatever. This was just kind of a speed bump.
Yeah.
But I just like that. I like that comment from him. And it just proves what I think you've been saying lately as far as Reeves and Pattinson being fans of Batman, like, the true fans of Batman. I mean, his comments of just bringing that up just kind of reiterates that.
Yeah,
There's
he
your
said he said that he's never went out of his way to watch a series of films, but he's always done that with Batman.
Yeah,
Pattinson. And it's not a requirement to be a Batman fan to direct, write, or star in a Batman movie, but there's just something cool about the fact that Reeves and Pattinson are such huge fans.
Yep.
It kind of makes like they're one of us.
Yeah,
They're one of us. Kind
one
of thing.
of us.
Yeah. And that's
funny.
yeah.
Sorry, I've got a couple more. A funny part to me is that we've heard that he's screen tested in Val Kilmer's Batman Forever Kyle.
Yeah.
He also did George Clooney's.
Yeah.
In which he said is funny because he's taller than Clooney, so
Yeah.
it was like
Torso was the bottom, the leg, the pants, and the top didn't match up. So there's this gap in between in his torso area.
I doubt that will ever come to light, but that's funny to me. And then it had a good back and forth between him and Zoe Kravitz about another testing where the cowl was done but nothing else was, and so then Zoe Kravitz called him casual Batman because he put on the cowl, but then it was like a fake cape and like sweatpants or something like that. And I mean, was this a revelation? No, but it was funny. It was interesting in the fact that we've heard the Forever one, but this is the first time I've ever heard the Clooney part too. So that's kind of funny. And then I think you have a lot to say about this. Reeves saying, sure, this could be, the story maybe isn't over, but this movie is a complete story. It's not quote unquote chapter 1.
Yeah.
I loved hearing all of that.
Yeah.
Because it follows the mantra of what Christopher Nolan we heard time and time again for the Dark Knight trilogy of don't need to save for later. This is like everything we have into one movie at a time. I love it.
Yeah, it's my preferred way of, and it's why I like, this is why I like, how I want to say this. I prefer this I prefer this way, and the way that DC and Warner Brothers are the direction they're going with DC movies now, that they're not just so connected that they end up being, each individual one is part of something bigger, and each thing sets up something else, whether it be a sequel to that character's film or something else or some other character's movie.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to shit on the MCU because I've liked most of those films. It's just I prefer this, and I prefer it with Batman. And I love the fact, and I've been waiting, we kind of got this with the Dark Knight trilogy, kind of. It was its own thing. Yes, it was its own universe. Yes. But Reeves says, I want to build a Batverse through film and streaming and really flesh out this world. So you got the Gotham City Police Department show coming on HBO Max. You got the Penguin show coming on HBO Max. You got the Batman is the beginning of this new Batverse. You've got, I've heard that there could be a Catwoman movie or a Catwoman series on HBO Max with Zoe Kravitz. So, I'm really looking forward to it. And like he says, it's going to be, it's up to us now, the audience, for it to continue if we like this. And this, but yeah, I mean, and he said, I think it was one of the Esquire maybe, or one of the others. He was asked the same thing on the same line, along the same lines as, it depends on how it does, but there are things in the works. There are plans. So, but I love the fact that the Batman is its own film, and I would hate.
It's just we're not guaranteed, and I just use Green Lantern as an example. the Ryan Reynolds one, because
Yeah.
we were teased at a Sinestro possibility that never came to fruition.
Yeah.
Both Justice League and Zack Snyder's Justice League had, an end point that teased of an upcoming possibility that we haven't seen. Chances are we will not see. Like, I don't like that.
I don't
because
at
the time it's kind of like, oh, that's coming, but we're gonna have to wait 2 or 3 years till we see this. And then on top of that, now it's a reminder, if you ever go back and watch it, that you're not getting that.
Yeah,
And I don't.
And again, I'm not crapping on Marvel films, but I'm not a big fan of these post-credit scenes. I just never was. It's not my thing. It's a little pandering to me. I just come on. Let me watch this film and like it for what it is. We'll get to the other stuff later. Okay. I don't need to, I don't need this. I know some people love that stuff, but that's just me. I'm going to ask you, how did you find the discussion with Reeves about how the Batman came to be? And I guess the elephant in the room was Ben Affleck, early on. In terms of, it's clear that Reeves wanted to do his own Batman. And then with Ben Affleck was still there he had walked away from directing. I'm of the very educated opinion that when he walked away from directing, he also walked away from the role, even though it wasn't announced at that time, because you had Justice League coming in November of 2017. There was just no way. So
I think I know that I was not in the room. I was not involved in these discussions, so I don't know. To me, it just feels like Reeves is a class act. He is also a businessman. He understands. He's not going to. It's not his place to comment on what Affleck was thinking or feeling.
Right.
I think he is covering the tracks. This is what we're going with. But I think we all, I don't know, we kind of felt when Reeves got attached, and then as the following months unfolded, that the Reeves and Affleck movie, it's not a Reeves and Affleck movie.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be a Reeves movie. Affleck's gone. So everything in here it sounds very like nice, and it just doesn't sound like he's not saying Affleck was never involved, but I feel like we know that wasn't the direction that they were. Maybe shoot his script. I don't know. Maybe that was early discussions, and that's why he did walk away, was because, what he even says in there was because he goes, the movie for him to make. Yeah,
we knew this because back in 2017, he goes in. We just heard through the trades. He's meeting with Warner Brothers to direct the Batman. Even I at that time assumed it was, Ben Affleck would be in it, but then I kind of knew when he walked away from directing that was going to be it. But anyway, and then we see the stories in the trades that Matt Reeves walks away from talks. He's not going to direct the Batman, and then within less than a week, it's that Matt Reeves has made a agreement with Warner Brothers. They've come to an agreement. He's going to direct the Batman, but he's going to go off and do he's got to finish War for the Planet of the Apes, and then what we hear, we're putting the pieces together now through these articles, and also with Ben Affleck's article that he did recently when he talked about he's making Justice League in 2016, and he's like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah,
I don't want to do this anymore. And this is before Reeves came on board. This is before he said he wasn't going to direct anymore. That was in the end of 2016, early 2017. But Reeves saying he pitches his idea. He doesn't want to do the Batman script by Affleck and Jeff Johns and Chris Terrio. He says, "Look, if I'm going to do Batman, I have to make it my Batman. This is the way I would do it. If you want to do it, cool. If you don't, I got you. It's cool."
Yeah.
And he said, he's mentioned a couple times now in these articles that he goes back in, they make the agreement, and they're like, "Okay, we'll wait for you. We're on board with your vision." And he's like, he was shocked that they said yes,
Yeah. Which it's easy from our stance where we're sitting to say, yeah, that's how it should be.
Mhm.
It's also, it's a business. It has to make money. So there are decisions that need made of like, we need to make sure that we do make money. So, and also Warner Brothers' #1 IP, Batman. There's a lot of consideration that needs to be taken into this. It is refreshing in the sense of you have a guy who came in, lifelong fan, passionate about this character. I'm passionate about this story, not this story.
Yeah.
And if option B, that story is what you want to make, that's completely fine. But I wouldn't be able to relate to it. I won't be as passionate about it. So I think you should probably find someone else.
Yeah.
Like that's knowing your limitations already. I don't know that. And if that's why the walkway, which I feel like it was spun at the time as if like Warner Brothers and Matt Reeves were fighting and they were clashing and Reeves stormed off. It's like that was the dramatic narrative written, when at the time it could have been that simple of, I love this character. I wouldn't be the right person for this story. I'd be the right person for my story. And if that's what you're interested in, great.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like that's where they ended up going. And I think it's gonna pay off.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally gonna pay off.
Yes. So before
Can
we
I
move,
say one?
yeah, I was
well,
going to ask
yeah,
you before
one
we move
last-
on. Yeah, go ahead.
One last one was actually the final word in the article, and it was with Pattinson. It says, and for Pattinson, the idea of following up this film is something of a mind-boggler. Quote, when I saw it the first time, even from the first shot, it does feel incredibly different tonally to the other movies. And it's so strange and it's sad and quite touching. It's a really, really unusual Batman story, and it almost seems harder for me to imagine it being a series afterwards. I mean, they have always had that little bit at the end that's like, and coming up, but other than that, it feels strangely personal. I think people will be quite shocked at how different it is.
That's
My
good.
mind is wandering all over with that one, especially the part. It's a really, really strange, unusual Batman story, and it seems harder for me to imagine it being a series afterwards.
It reminds me of when I saw The Dark Knight the first time. And I'm thinking, number one, how do you top that? Number two, why even do another one when you can walk away with that ending?
Retire after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
After you win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So, it makes me want to see this film even more.
Yeah.
Because and it also, there's just, these folks who automatically assumed, oh, it's Batman Begins rehashed. It's just another version of Nolan stuff. Nah.
Sure,
it's
Jim.
not. Yeah. It's not. But we're about to find out, because we got a month away and see. I know some people who have seen it, and I don't know any. I'm unspoiled, but I'm just brilliant masterpiece, emotional, gut-wrenching, powerful, or all terms I've heard used to describe the film. Yeah, I mean,
okay.
what else is there to say other than come on?
The Batman is
Come on.
coming.
That's right.
There you go.
So the prequel novel.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
This cute little book for readers ages 8 to 12.
Okay.
Bill, it was kind of refreshing to read a short little book like this.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It was a fun, entertaining little read.
I ordered it.
Okay.
Amazon Prime. Because I didn't know it was out. And I think you showed it to me or texted me about it. So I went straight to order it, and it was supposed to be here the next day. And then that pesky winter ice storm came through and shut everything down. So it did not arrive. So I haven't got a chance to look at it yet, but I'd like to know your thoughts for sure.
So it's called The Batman, and then at the bottom it says Before the Batman, an original movie novel. And the all new exciting story inspired by the film. I thought it was fun. Definitely, there's one thing that we have seen in the trailer that you get a brief little chapter about, and then other factors of it. It's interesting to see if it all connects to the movie, you know.
Yeah.
It's all got to connect. But I mean, you get 3 phases of Bruce. You do get him as a kid, you get him as a teenager, and then you get him what seems like around the age that he's going to be in the Batman. But obviously this takes place before.
So at no point he's Batman in this book.
Yes, he is.
Okay.
But I don't want to say anything else.
Okay.
Edward Nashton is in this book.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that he is the focal point, but they give him enough. So it's not some kind of you do not have to read this, I don't think, to be able to go watch the Batman.
Do you feel like you know more about this world now going into the Batman?
A little bit.
Okay.
Not a ton, but a little bit.
Okay.
I do think this book makes me feel if this was inspired by the movie. I'm curious of the author, how much. Let me see what the author's name was. David Lumen. I wonder how much access of the Batman he got, but if it holds true, it does make me think that Jeff Johns, Gary Frank's Batman Earth 1 was a pretty big inspiration for certain elements, not the story at all,
Yeah.
but certain elements feels like, oh, this is from Earth 1. Oh, this is Batman.
So
Earth
you
1.
know what? This is part of this Batverse that Reeves talked about, where it's through different mediums. In this case, it's a book. Then there's the movie. Then we'll have the streaming spinoff. So it's all. I like it. Yeah, it's all connected. I like this. I like this better than this if this was a novelization of the film.
Yeah, I think that might be what some people took it as.
Yeah.
By seeing it online, thinking that, oh, the novelization for the book now is out, and that's not the case at all. I feel in the end this could be something that you don't have to read it to watch the movie. You watch the movie, go back and read this, and it could add to it, not detract from it. But it's not, doesn't have to be the formula. So It was $10. It was, I read it in like, 2 sittings.
Yeah.
It's not, it doesn't take up a ton of your time, and in the end it's kind of fun to imagine that, and as a nice little appetizer for the movie that's coming.
Okay.
So there's a reason that the car is on the cover, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
So yeah, that's pretty much it on that.
I'm looking forward. Hopefully, I hope it shows up today, because I'd like to read it, or this weekend. So, did I ever tell you that I picked up the novelization to Batman '89 before the film?
No.
And I read the damn thing.
I've only done that once, and that was the Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
Because they teased it seemed like Harry was going to pull off Peter's mask.
Yeah.
and then it cut before you saw anything. And so yeah, they released the novelization before, and I'm like, I'm buying it and I'm reading it. Never again.
No, I was so excited for Batman 89 when it was coming out, and I must have been like, I don't know, I was picked it up at like, because there was no Amazon then, you know.
That's right.
I was somewhere, I don't know, Walmart or freaking the mall somewhere, and I saw it, and I bought it, and then I'm like having this battle in my head with myself. The movies was literally going to be out like in a week, and I sat and read that son of a bitch. And
Could you have imagined if you did? Did you ever read the Batman Forever novel?
I have it. I didn't read it before. I did. Yes, I did read it because I remember a lot of the Red Diary stuff.
Yeah.
That was not in the film was in the novelization. And
So reading that before you see the movie and how internal battle you'd have.
oh yeah,
Like, wait, this is not how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But wait, this is like that, and that's why I think definitely.
I would always.
Don't do
I've said before to people, if you want to know what Batman Forever was originally intended to be, and what the Red Diary cut would be, find the novelization for Batman Forever. I mean, there's a scene with Batman and I remember there was a part in the book, a scene where Batman and Harvey Dent, when he's still DA, are meeting on a rooftop. And yeah, so yeah, it was, I could go off on a whole tangent on this. So, but I never was a big fan of the novelizations. I bought them when they did them. I had the comic book adaptations as well when they did those. I'm glad they really don't kind of do that anymore for the most part, mainly because if I got hold of it beforehand, I'd be really tempted to read them. But I like this prequel novel.
Yeah.
Does it feel like a book for kids, or did you not? It just felt like a book.
It felt for a younger demographic for sure, because there is a lot of just telling you what's happening.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of discussion back and forth, but also it kind of like it was fine for what I had already expected. That when I saw that the age group it was kind of aiming for and stuff. So, but it read fast and fine. So.
Okay.
No regrets on my $10 spent.
So what's your recommendation? Pick it up for those listening?
For those listening, yeah. It's the Batman.
Okay.
Just know where to set your expectations.
Okay.
So there you go.
All right. So why don't you plug something or some things, plural, whatever you want.
Well, I'm surprised you haven't talked about it yet. But you and I are finally part of the group that got the McFarlane, the Batman figures, and you and I are part of the small group who didn't get a messed up figure.
Yeah,
it seems like that's kind of going around quite a bit. That it was
I saw that
the masked head on the Bruce Wayne unmasked body. My Batman looks good, no mistakes. And then you got your Funkos.
Yeah.
My Funko, for some reason, arrived at the post office here in town on Wednesday, and then got an update yesterday that it was in Wisconsin.
What?
Yeah. And I got, something's not right.
Did a Jack Pine Savage get a hold of it?
Must have. Went trekking through the snow. I don't know. It was supposed to arrive yesterday. I didn't expect it to. I expected it to just be delayed till today because yesterday was right in the middle of the snowstorm and everything. But to go from Indiana, where it's supposed to go, the next day it ends up in Wisconsin. So we'll see where it gets scanned today. Oh my
gosh. Okay.
But I don't know. But yeah, that's fun because I like to go for the hunt.
Yeah.
As I tell you all the time. So yeah, I picked my McFarlane in store. There's one of him and one Selena. That's it.
At Target?
At Target. That's my store.
What was there? Okay, you said there was one Selena and one Batman up in McFarlane there. Did
Yeah,
they have a lot of
because-
that Spin Master stuff?
Yes, it was because this was the day before. So this was on Wednesday, and Target had online that the McFarlane stuff was going on sale on February 3rd, so
Okay.
Thursday.
Yeah.
This was the day before, and I just stopped in real quick, and I went and looked, and yeah, they had one of each, but then they have. I don't know if it's Spin Master that has like a detective kit for the kids. They've got the Batmobile, which Pete keeps really selling me on. That I think I want that Batmobile.
Oh, I got that son
Now,
of a bitch. Did I show you
that's-
that yet? I think so.
I mean, making us kids. I mean, us adults be kids again. Yeah, that's good.
This one, a little obnoxious. There we go.
Announcer Rachel's
Rev up that
probably losing her
muscle car.
mind. But I mean, they've got
Yeah.
that. There's a remote controlled Batmobile. They've got a bike with the 4 of the oversized figures of
Yeah.
Oswald, Selena, Batman, and then unmasked Batman and stuff. So I can only imagine that it's going to get, now that it's legit on sale, that it's just going to be even more full.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just fun to. It's also just fun to see. It's got its own little section. It's got a banner at the top of the.
Makes me
Batman
want to go to
stuff, so
Target.
Do it.
I would if the freaking roads weren't iced over. Thank you, Winter Storm, for
Yeah.
putting a cramp into my Batman fandom.
Yeah.
Dadgummit.
This is all a plot orchestrated
It
by
is.
announcer Rachel.
It is. She conjured up that Winter Storm to keep me from going to Target. That's
She's
it.
good.
That's the
She
ticket.
brought Minnesota to Texas.
Yes. All right.
Just
Go-
to keep you from Target.
All right.
But okay, plugging
Go
away. Follow my writings on BOF proper, where I recently did the review of Batman 120, and also I wrote a fun post that Bill allowed to be published about my favorite Batman posters over the years. Make sure to check that out.
Yeah,
because
that's a good one.
There's no shortage of Batman movie
Oh,
posters
Trust
the past
me,
30
as I-
years.
As I look around my office.
Yeah. Oh, that was a lot of fun.
Here,
to
let me
put
give you a
together.
spin around here real quick.
Yeah, there's quite a few. How
All
about
right.
that?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a lot of fun to go through and look up all the different ones. Ones that I remember, ones that were like, oh yeah, that one. That was fun. So take a look at it, just because it's fun to go back through time and look at those. And then my podcast, the Batman Book Club. Most recent episode that's dropped is with Peter Vera, where we wrapped up Batman comics in January. You can follow that on Twitter at the Batman BC. Some fun stuff is coming up for that as well.
Very
There we
good.
go.
I want to just plug the Batman on Film watch party for the Batman. It is March the 5th, 2022. In the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It's actually in Plano, West Plano. At there'll be a meet and greet type deal, hangout before, starting around noon-ish at the Parkway Tavern, and then just jump across the North Dallas Tollway. Almost directly on the other side of the road is Cinemark West Plano XD. And that's where we're going to see the film. It's going to be at, it'll be like between 4 and 5 o'clock screening. So if you are going to buy tickets for the Batman watch party, and the tickets go on sale the 10th. That is next Wednesday. Okay.
Thursday, I'm
Thursday,
sorry. Yeah,
Thursday,
The 10th
okay.
is Thursday. Sorry.
On the 10th, yes. Next Thursday, the 10th of February. If you're going to the watch party, West Plano, Cinemark, West Plano XD, pick a screening by around 4 and 5 o'clock, because it'll be on multiple screens. We won't get in the same exact theater, but it'll be at the same time. And then we'll reconvene somewhere, probably back at the Parkway Tavern, where we will decompress and discuss The Batman.
Take shots of Mountain Dew.
Yes. Shots of Mountain Dew.
I hear VIP tickets for Dick Shoe autographs will be there too.
I think he has a booth.
He's got a booth. Yeah.
He has a booth. Kind of like a Comic-Con. It's a Dick Shoe Con.
Yeah.
Dick Shoes Con.
Overpriced, but I mean,
Yeah. He's
you might
charging
get one.
I think it's what, $500 a ticket, and you get a picture though. At the same time.
Ooh, bargain.
Yeah. Might want to get those in advance.
Dick Shoes.
All right, that's all I got really. Everything else, you can find everything else. You can find all the details at Batman on Film. There's a pinned post for the watch party details. And then all my social media, all that stuff is on Batman on Film as well. I'm not going to go through it, other than to say that all these shows are part of the Batman Podcast Network. Go to Batman on Film, the website. Go to podcast. You'll find it'll drop down Batman Podcast Network, and there's a bunch of shows on there. All these ones we talk about, and that's all I got. Other than to say that I've been covering this son of a bitch for 5 years, and it's almost here. And watching that countdown, like 500 some odd days or 600, where it was, and just like. It's just look at it now. It's got 27, and like I said, counting down. Like, my gosh, it's going to be here. I'm super excited.
You'll reset it March 7th, and it'll be like, all right, 612 days till the Batman.
Yeah, I'll have another one at some point. I will probably put one up for the Flash just for fun because of Keaton. Yeah. And then after
Batman on Film.
It is. It's Batman on Film. All right. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Batman on Film Social Hour, Jett's official BOF podcast and vlog. Follow Jett on Twitter at Batman on Film. For BOF news only on Twitter, follow at the Batman on Film. For Jett and everyone at BOF, I'm announcer Rachel. Authoritative, definitive, the original Batman on Film.